Now, I will say, so when Trump won, did you see what MSNBC was doing?
No, I, I don't frequent that outlet, so I was not watching.
I'm going to pull this up real
I'm
quick.
pretty sure
And
Joy Reid was saying something really insightful.
actually, this one was Rachel Maddow.
Yeah. What's the difference?
So here we go.
Well, so there we go. So this is part of the issue here. So Donald Trump saying that he won New Hampshire not only in previous primaries, but that he won New Hampshire in the general election is not true. Donald Trump did, to his credit, in 2016 win the New Hampshire.
So they intrude on his speech just to tell you about how, oh, he's lying about winning New Hampshire in the last election. And he just go on and on and on throughout his entire thing. And he did the same thing when Vivek was actually speaking too, where they started coming in going, no, they're wrong about, these anti-immigrant attacks. We cannot air these sort of things. This is terribly un-American. We cannot subject our audiences to such rhetoric. It's amazing how much they just constantly, at first they tried to get him out there as much as possible during 2016 elections. But they definitely have more of a fear of him this time by the fact of they are not allowing his message to get out whatsoever. I mean,
yeah, right up until the point that he won the nomination for 2016, he was on MSNBC every freaking morning. He was
on like
Morning
late
Joe.
night shows and stuff like that too, and they're letting them rub his hair and all that stuff. Like, I mean, they were trying to make him as likable as possible.
MSNBC was during that primary. MSNBC pimped him hard.
Yeah,
and then as soon as he won the nomination, they turned on him, and they've never looked back.
And again, they want to do whatever they can to censor him or anyone else when they talk about anything involving the election, anything involving about the border. There was a great fictional philosopher, Tyrion Lannister. You might have heard of him. He said, when you tear out a man's tongue, you're not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he has to say. And as funny as it is that coming from Game of Thrones and Tyrion of all people, there is a extreme truth to that statement. There really is. And obviously there's actual quotes in history that are basically pointing out the same general thing. But of course, I love the way Tyrion puts it in the book.
Goes back to Cicero.
Yes, exactly. And but there is a lot of truth to it in the sense of, even if they're spreading falsehoods, let's say they are telling things that are completely untrue. When you try to censor them, all that does is make people say, oh, wait a second, well, why can't I hear what they have to say? Why am I not allowed to hear what they have to say? And that adds even more validation to what they're saying. I've said this has been a problem when it comes to the way that social media actually bans actual white supremacists on their platforms while allowing black supremacists to still run wild. Because when they start banning them, there are a segment of people who then hear these talking points from white supremacists and think, well, that does make a little bit of sense. Because they never had the opportunity to hear the alternative, because the first talking point has been completely removed from all conversation. So when white supremacists go out and spread the message that, well, black people are inherently violent because of X, Y, and Z, they've yet to hear any counterpoint to that argument. That's what happens when you ban these sort of people. You cannot be banning them. Sunlight is the best disinfectant for bad ideas. You have to allow them to speak, so that way we can call them out on their BS. So even if you completely think what's being said is entirely wrong, you have to allow it to be said. And I mean, I think we're both close to free speech absolutists when it comes to most things, right?
Oh yeah, I'm not arguing against you on this point for sure.
No, I 100%.
I think you gotta let people show who they really are, and when they say it, you need to daggone well believe it, and instead of saying, well, they didn't really mean that. Just let them say who they are, and then refute it with a better argument.
And, I've had a couple of the shorts I was saying that I disagree with a lot of these kind of laws that ban these people from expressing their ideas, or of course I believe they have the First Amendment right to associate with who they want to. And I see a couple comments pop up there saying, oh, just secretly a racist. And it's like, no, I don't know. Why do you want them to hide? Why do you want to hide them away from the public? Like, why do you want me to still give money to them? Why do you want me to still, act like, I'm friends with them because I don't know their true thoughts? So I want them to spread it out because I want to know who to avoid. I want to know who I do not need to shop at. I want to know who I need to criticize. So I want them to spread their opinions as much as possible. I will say this, as much as I might be a free speech absolutist, freedom of expression is some of the biggest BS I've ever heard. It does not exist. No one actually believes in it whatsoever, because if you did, you could justify any heinous action in public by just saying, well, it's their right to express themselves. I mean, think of the worst possible thing a human could do, and you could justify it under freedom of expression. So freedom of expression, total BS, does not actually exist in our Constitution. Freedom of speech, however, is all-encompassing.
It is actually defended very heavily with some pretty heinous things on the left. They're allowed to do a lot of things in public that you shouldn't be allowed to do in public because, well, it's their First Amendment right to do that.
I was talking with a friend about the difference between freedom of expression and freedom of speech, and because I was saying that no, there's some things you cannot allow in public. It doesn't matter if it's expression or not. And he said, well, how can you say that? You're for ultimate free speech. I'm like, because speech and expression are completely two different things. People can justify anything for freedom of expression. People say, them going around naked is freedom of expression. They say pornography is freedom of expression. That you can justify whatever you want through freedom of expression. And so we all believe there's a limit to that, because no one would be okay with two people, going around flashing people in a children's park, right? We know there's a limit to what you can do in public. No one actually believes in freedom of expression. What we believe is that we should be very open to expression. We should be, we should side more often than not on allowing people to express themselves, but we don't believe it as a right. We just simply believe it as more, and we actually do believe that one to be more as a privilege than anything else. While freedom of speech is a right.
You don't think our friends on the modern American left wouldn't defend the right of freedom of expression to expose yourself in front of kids? They're allowing it all over.
It's just the human body, don't you know?
They're perfectly forward. So when you say that's obviously unacceptable, well, it's not obviously unacceptable anymore. It should be.
I mean, for them, it's acceptable to crap in the streets. So, I mean, but that's they want to go all out with freedom of expression because it can allow them to justify doing whatever they want, while at the same time trying to silence people through the freedom of speech because they don't want to hear opinions they don't want. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the First Amendment is lengthy, and it just kind of goes on and on and on, and they seem to pick and choose the ones they like. So we don't like the freedom of association at all. So you got to get rid of that.
Doesn't exist anymore. We do not have that right at all.
Freedom of speech is too dangerous. We can't allow that. But freedom of expression, we can just kind of write that one in and let it fit whatever we want it to mean. So
don't you know the Constitution is a living document?
Yeah. Oh, I've heard, but at least Trump appoints strict constitutionalists who will stand up for what's right.
Gorsuch was good. Gorsuch was good.
He's had a couple of misfires. Don't give him all the credit.
Which one do you have a misfire on? I can't really think of it. I know Kavanaugh did.
Maybe I'm confusing the two.
He might have. He really might have.
I think it was Kavanaugh that I was thinking of.
But I will say this: Trump's judges have still been better than most. So and this is the first thing I've seen ACB do that made me wonder about her. So I'm not going to call her slack, but I'm at least still going to say, at least he didn't appoint Roberts.
This is true. He only associates with the best people, so I'm sure it's going to all work out.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. This video is a clip from our Summit podcast, which is live here on the channel on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. So if you enjoyed this, feel free to join and be part of the conversation. But before you go, please make sure, of course, you like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope to be seeing you again real soon.